Now, most people in high school do sports. For me, I did public speaking. And my mom, picture her. She's dragging me out to the living room. She's sitting on that good floral couch that everyone seems to have, that you only use when family and friends are coming over. And she makes me present in front of her. As I present, she nods her head when things are going well, shakes her head or gives me kind of a confused look when something's off, and then writes notes down throughout the whole presentation. At the end, we go through the notes, work the piece, and I breathe a sigh of relief. So for me, my mom was both my parent and my teacher. When the diagnosis came back as Alzheimer's, we really weren't surprised. There were little things that kind of didn't make sense. A forgotten word, a sentence that was incomplete, a forgotten conversation, or even last was often a forgotten birthday. My mom's Alzheimer's kind of came and went. It was kind of like the fog in San Francisco. When it's heaviest, it often distorts what you see. You can't see all the beautiful details of this wonderful city. So for us, when we say the fog is thick, it's our way of talking about my mom's state of mind. In a moment of clarity, I asked her, I said, "Mom, what's it like?" And she said, "It's scary. It's like someone turned out all the lights and you're standing there in the dark. Whatever you were just thinking of stops and disappears. Your train of thought, gone. You don't even know why you're in the kitchen." And I said, "Mom, when that happens, what should we do for you?" And she thinks about it, and she says, "Take my hand and tell me it's okay." I wrote a play about the last year or so, and she heard about it and said, "I want to see the recording." Now, I don't know if she's going to recognize or really get much from it, but once again, she's sitting on that now faded floral couch, watching. And at the end, she surprises me. She says, "I liked it. But you know, Tom, after all these years, you would think you would slow down with your lines. You're rushing your lines." And just for one moment, it's like nothing has changed, that I'm back in high school and she's there on that couch. My mom always continued to impress me. You know, even when the fog was the thickest, there would be these moments where she would be there. For example, put Jeopardy on. She would get more answers than anyone else in our household, even the ones that Ken Jennings missed. Put on Oklahoma, and she would sing along, not missing a single word. Me, I can't remember half of it, and I was in Oklahoma. But the thing that we didn't anticipate is that she would have trouble actually just simply walking. Between distorted vision and simply forgetting how to walk, she developed what she would tell you is her Tim Conway old man shuffle. As she shuffles, my dad yells at her, "Heel to toe, Nan, heel to toe!" As if yelling at her will reconnect that wire that has long since been disconnected. He doesn't do this out of anger. He does it out of frustration, exhaustion, the love he has for her, and the fear of losing yet another part of this woman that he has loved for 55 years. For her to walk, she requires someone to put their hands out, and she puts her hands in his. So here I am, and as she steps forward, I step back. Now, it's not lost on me that this is kind of like dancing, except I'm back leading. And so I look at her and say, "I am so tempted to raise my arm and spin you." And she looks up at me and gives me that mom eye and almost challenges me, saying, "You better not." And then it dawns on me. Remember the old musical, The King and I? You know, Deborah Kerr, Yul Brynner. There's that big dance scene. And so I quietly say to her, "Shall we dance?" And without missing a beat, she stomps her feet and goes, "Dun, dun, dun." And she looks up at me with this huge grin, and we both just lose it. I mean, we started laughing to the point of tears, and we figure out that it would be a great idea to go all the way down the hall to the bedroom doing this dance. Shall we dance? Dun, dun, dun. Dun, 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 dun. And we are at the point that we are in tears. And we get all the way to the bedroom, and the drama teacher is still inside, and she crawls into bed, and once again, I have to tell her that it would be much more comfortable if instead of laying horizontally, that she lays vertical. She looks at me in confusion, and I smile, and I gently reposition her head on the pillow, saying, the pillow is much more comfortable. With Alzheimer's, the mourning process begins far before the person ever passes. And my mom eventually reached the point that she needed to go into a board and care. And that was a really tough decision on my family. When the fog is the thickest, she now hallucinates. Like my favorite hallucination was when she thought she was on a cruise ship. Now, if you're going to be a board care house, being on a cruise ship, that's the hallucination I want to have. And so I walk in and she says, oh my God, you're on this cruise ship too? Isn't it wonderful? And who am I to tell her otherwise? And so I figured, just go with it. I know, did you see the buffet? It's incredible. I'm going to gain 10 pounds. And for just one moment, we remained comfortable together in that fog. My mom reached the point that she continued to go downhill. And the last visit, whenever I say goodbye, she lives 7 hours from me. And the thing that I struggle with the most is that simple question, will she remember me the next time? And on this last visit, I had a hard time with it. You know, I couldn't really hide it well. And she sensed it. So I hug her goodbye, I start to leave, and she says, wait a minute. And she grabs my hand and says, it's okay. And just for one moment, I am back in high school. She's on that good floral couch, and she is teaching me again.